Hey Legionnaires, Jimmy here, the leader of the Legion, and welcome. It's been a crazy year for games. There's been a lot of things coming out, and I was thinking, we're doing our Game of the Year awards, and I kind of wanted to take some time personally, and I'm thinking Joe's going to do the same thing, where we just sit down and just kind of have a really candid conversation about what our favorite games were of 2016. Ones that might not be considered like Game of the Year contenders necessarily. Some maybe. But I just kind of wanted to talk about the things in these games that I love so much. So yeah, I'll just jump in with a few of the games that I were personal picks of mine this year. So anyway, I'll start with Gears of War 4. Now, for anybody who knows me, Gears of War is a franchise that I love desperately. I got into it, when I remember being like shocked. I was at my buddy's house when seeing the first Gears game. I'm like, whoa, my gosh, this looks crazy. And you just chainsawed through something? That's insane. And then I got into it with my family, with 2 and 3 playing the Horde mode like crazy. Anyway, Gears of War 4 coming back into it, it's comfortable. It's it's like driving your first car again, or you just know it. There's something really, it just feels right. The third person, cover and all that stuff, the combat and all those things, man, it's the best in the business. I remember, I haven't played Uncharted 4 yet, but I remember always thinking that was one of my biggest grievances with Uncharted, was that it just was like, oh man, you guys don't get the shooting down, but Gears always gets it down. So they still have the best cover mechanics in games. That you feel the weight when you slam into cover and do all this stuff. And I love the executions now where you can kind of grab a person over cover and pull them over and stab them, or jump over and knife them and stuff like that. They had some of that in 3 kind of, but they didn't have the whole like pull them over mechanic, which I really loved. It didn't really innovate so much. It's just an iteration on the old formula, but I think it's just kind of what we're seeing a little bit more now with these franchises when they come back, like this being the 4th one in the sequel. So that's okay. I still enjoyed it. Cast not the best, but I love seeing Marcus back, so that's really I really that's all I want to see. Just more Marcus. Horde mode, I think it's the best it's ever been. I haven't gotten to dig into it as much as I'd like to. I'm kind of hoping my family, my 2 sisters who are into the game, I hope they bite the bullet and get into Gears, because I would absolutely love to play some Horde mode with them, because there is a lot to do with Horde mode. Oh my goodness, there's a lot going on. Very cool. I will say that it has one of the greatest, and personally my most favorite, like opening act of maybe almost any game, because it brings you up to speed really quickly if you've never played the franchise before. And for the fans, it's just like a big, just like nods and winks the whole time. You're seeing characters that you've known for a long time, some characters who have died, and see some of the events that led up to what Gears of War 4 is now. Because there's a lot of crazy lore to Gears, and I'm a pretty big fan of that story. So it was really cool to see that. And also you get to fight some humans in the very beginning, which is something you like never get to do, which is really fun, because it's not like I enjoy killing humans, but you're so used to killing these crazy monsters all the time that when you get to switch up the pace and do that, I was like, that's kind of interesting. So I wasn't a huge fan of the robots. They were fine as one of the enemy factions. I thought the Swarm was pretty interesting. They weren't as cool as the Locust. Maybe they'll get there, and they're just kind of like a remnant of them, spoiler alert. But I've always really liked that franchise. They've got a good team. It seems like this team coalition is like going to make Gears games for now, like forever. So I'm kind of excited to see where the franchise goes. And one thing, guys, seriously, coalition, I know you're listening to this, and Microsoft, Phil Spencer, bring back my Scorcher, please. If you don't know what that is, they introduced it, I believe, in Gears 2. It's a flamethrower. Really not much more than that. Please bring it back. They had one of the best executions. You get stab a guy in the stomach and you get flames shooting out of his mouth. It's very great. But yeah, please bring back the Scorcher. But anyway, Gears of War 4, if you haven't checked it out, check it out. It's probably really cheap now, and it's a great game. Also, co-op. Come on, co-op campaign. Yeah, super good. All right, on to my next one here is Dragon Quest Builders. Now, I still have to finish the game. I really didn't think it was going to be this long of a title. I should have known better. Dragon Quest games are forever. I recently played through Dragon Quest 8 for the first time this past summer, so I was kind of feeling that Dragon Quest, need in my life, the thirst for it. And I really love Dragon Quest, the look of it and all that stuff. I love all the monsters. I got in way back in the day with Dragon Quest Warrior or Dragon Warrior Monster. I gotta look this up. It was on Game Boy Color. It was really a great game, and my buddy and I used to play it. But I remember thinking, like, oh, Dragon Quest Builder is coming out. I don't know if I should get this. Should I get this? You know, I'm not going to have time to review it, but I could just play it for stream and, you know, that kind of thing. And we did, and I was doing a full playthrough of it, and I was doing all the voices and stuff, which is a lot of fun. But the game itself is really chill. You know, everyone's so happy. The story is just kind of that classic, like, you must, you know, fend off the darkness. But if you don't like Minecraft like I do, or if you don't like Minecraft like I don't like Minecraft, I was like, I don't know if I want to get into this, but it actually works out pretty well, and I like that the world isn't procedurally generated, because there are caves and there are things to find that are purposely put there. You're not like just spawning into a world like, oh, where do I have to go? So it's an interesting, cute little game, and yeah, it's just really jolly, really it is. So if you have a chance, and you're interested in a game that's going to take a long time, but it's just really kind of relaxed and fun for most of it. There are a few tense moments when some of the battles, because the combat's not the greatest, but it's not supposed to be. But yeah, some of the boss fights are like really weird. But yes, check it out. Yeah, it's a super good game. I enjoy it. So yeah. Next up is the newest one that kind of also falls in line of the jolly and coziness, which I would say this one, if Dragon Quest Builders is like an 8 or a 9 on jolly cozy, Civilization 6 is a 10 on the coziness charts. It has so many things going for it. I'd never played a Civ game before this, and I dove straight in, and I'm learning, and I'm loving it. And it is just, the look of this game is just so interesting, and I don't know, it's got this kind of I don't know, this fantasy book flair to it. And if you build a wonder, for instance, it just kind of goes to like sunset, and there's these, you know, it usually is like accompanied with torches or fire or lighting that looks amazing. Your units have a lot of personality. The characters that you you know, the other civilizations, the leaders, have tons and tons of kind of these animations and just the expressive looks, and it's been a joy to get to play that game. It's been nice also having the great Sean Bean do the voice acting for a lot of it. I wish he would do all the voice acting. He doesn't act the part of the advisor, but they can only go for it so much. And man, the music is just so good. Like, sometimes there won't be any music at all, but it is when it picks up the title, you know, for instance, like the menu screen, I should say, is really incredible. And then the rest of it, they have ones that are catering to specific civilizations, obviously. And it's just a joy. It's just so relaxing. And it's one of the few games that you could literally, at any time, even during your turn, you can walk away from it. And I know it sounds weird, but the ability to just be like, oh, like I have to, you know, if somebody needs something, or I have to take a phone call or whatever, it's like this game, it is accommodating to the player in a way that a lot of games nowadays aren't so much. Like, you can still pause the game and other things like that, like action games and stuff, but when you hit the start button, you have to be like, okay, what was I dodging something? Like in Civ, it's not like that. Like, for the most part, it's pretty good about that. And it does slowly layer things on, which is nice too. If you're kind of nervous about getting into it, it's like, here's like your beginning. You start basically as just like this little settlement, and then eventually you get to like where we are now, and even further in the modern world. So yeah, it's amazing. The AI is weirdly aggressive, and they do not take kindly to you know, they won't take kindly to you even attacking barbarians after a while. Like, sometimes they think of you as a warmonger, or maybe I don't understand that. But if you get in one fight with one Civ, then everybody's gonna be like, oh man, this guy's a bad guy. But if they pick a fight with you, you know, some of them, it's just like you gotta take them out. That's the way it has to go. Yeah, man, it's super good. One last thing I want to say, we were talking about the look of it earlier. The fog of war in this game, looking at the map and stuff, it's so cool, because if you look at like a tile that you can see, and there'll be like little corn cobs on it or whatever, and they'll be like highlighted in yellow and green or whatever. But if you move away from them, or the kind of the fog of war creeps back onto them, the look of it will change back to this kind of hand-drawn thing again. It's just all these little touches when you look at this stuff. Really, really great. And this is honestly the last thing for this game. Very friendly to people who don't like to watch animals get killed. Like if you kill a scout, scouts have dogs. Like the scout will die, the dog will just run away. Or if you kill like a Sumerian war cart, like the donkeys will run away, the people will die. So if you're like me, that's just a nice little touch. So yeah. Last game I want to get into here is one of the contenders for, well, just kind of my personal game of the year, really, truly, is Final Fantasy 15. I could go on and on about this game, and I've already done a review of it. Besides Gears of War 4, it's the only other one I've done a review for. But this game, guys, is just... It's so good. It has issues. The third act gets a little weird. It gets rushed. I've heard comparisons to Metal Gear Solid 5 and things like that. It gets like weirdly linear and kind of like horror aspects to it. It's strange. But man, besides all that, the fighting it's really fun and fluid, and there's nothing like doing a combo and co-op attack with one of your buddies, or doing like a link strike, or doing all this stuff, and it's just like, Prompto will throw you his revolver and he'll attack with your big sword and you'll shoot something, and then you kind of like give each other a high five or fist bump, and it's like, oh, it's so cool. Like, you really feel connected to these guys on the battlefield and off when you have these moments. Like there's one time again with like Prompto or Ignis, they'll pull you aside and they'll just talk to you about things. And with Prompto especially, he talks about his insecurities on the team and kind of being worried that he doesn't fit in. And you don't have to have that conversation. You can shut him down and be like, man, go away. I'm trying to relax, or I'm trying to think. But I was just talking to him, and it was just so cool because it made him feel less like my AI bodyguard and more like a living, breathing human being who's got emotions and concerns and hopes. And it's just, I really, really love that. So that's so great. The game, it looks gorgeous. We played it, or I played it on Xbox One. And it still looked really good. I heard things about it having a better frame rate on Xbox and like a lower resolution, but it still looked incredible. I thought it looked great. And the last thing I have to mention, like the Gears of War I talked about at the beginning, if you know me, there's a few things I really love, like in games. Like Gears, obviously, grapple hooks and summons are some of those things. And the summons in this game, the Astrals, they are incredible. I absolutely love them. We're showing off Titan here because that's the only one because every other time I would get footage of one, I would just the music would kick up and I'd be raising both my hands in the air as if I was kind of like praying to them, and I was just like, kill them all. Like, and it was so cool because when I was a kid, I would call out the summons and in the older games, and I'd be like, okay, after I exhausted those, like, I guess I'm just going to basic attack something until it dies. Not a very good strategy, typically. But in this game, this is like the finishing move. Like, if you call in a summon on like a mini boss or a pack of animals or monsters, this is how it ends, typically. Like, 99% of the time, that thing's dead. And it's just so cool to see these things that you've worked so hard to gain their attention of come in and save you. Which I oh my gosh, I love it so much. It's so cool. I'm like, I want every summon to do this. And that's why I love FF10 so much. Because there was a very big focus on summons in that game. Anyway, there you go. I digress. But those are all the games, my personal picks for 2016. Like I said before, hopefully we're going to get one from Joe, and then we'll be doing our Game of the Year video, which will talk about our top 3 games, and we will pick a winner. If you want to see us kind of go in depth on kind of specific things like best strategy or like best first-person shooter and stuff like that, we'll be going over those on the Critical Podcast. So please check that out for the Game of the Year awards, as it were. So yeah, I really appreciate you guys stopping by. Thank you for taking the time. Feel free to like and subscribe if you haven't already, if you want to join the Legion today. If you are a Legionnaire, feel free to, share this with a buddy, and then kind of get the conversation rolling. I want to know what your guys' top picks are for not just for Game of the Year, but like what is the game that you love a lot, but you don't necessarily think is like the greatest game of 2016, because there's a lot of those, and those are the games I think in the long run mean the most, because you don't think back to like the year, or at least I don't. I think back to like the game and stuff like that. So yeah, I want to know what those are. Let me know in the comments below, or you can feel free to tweet at me. I'm just at GoCritical. It's capital G, capital C. And yeah, I'd love to hear from you. And man, 2016, crazy year. Loved it so much. Looking forward to 2017 with you guys, and hope to start it off right. Man, we got a lot coming down the pipeline. It's going to be a busy year. Take it easy, guys. Oh, and remember, adapt and overcome. Hey, everybody. I just wanted to mention one last game here that I thought of later on, but Darkest Dungeon, it is one of my favorite games of the year. It is crushing, it is difficult, but it's got this beautiful art style. It was done on Kickstarter, believe it or not, and it's just definitely worth your time. Check it out if you're into roguelikes, kind of strategy, or just kind of having soul-crushing defeats, but nail-biting victories. So check it out, and yeah, go enjoy.